one of 768 Sydney homes scheduled for auction on Saturday. By the evening, Domain Group had recorded 78% of the primary clearance rate from 521 reported. Here it is. 24 people turned out for the auction. So here it is. Let's see the outside of the house. There it is. Woo! Woo! There it is. Yeah, I can eat. That's like $1 million US. Oh, yeah.
We always go the distance, right up to the wall. Good friends you can count on, and a codex says it all. There's nothing halfway about it, that's always been our call. Yeah, there's nothing halfway about it, X says it all.
So BC condo owners brace for sticker shock that insurance rates surge 50 to 300%. Wow. Rates are increasing for people in policies now anywhere from 50 to 300%, and deductibles are going from a conventional $10,000 or $25,000 to $100,000 to $250,000 or $500,000, said Tony G., Executive Director of Condominium Homeowners Association. The reasons for this surging rates are multiple, but one of the factors is the sky-high value of BC properties. So properties need to be covered. Household debt has Australians living in a house of cards. Again, we discussed this. Here it is. We've got household debt to income on just a touch under 200%, and that is, my view, is a massive macro risk. So here it is, 200%. For every dollar you make, you owe two. Right now it's at 208% right now. So every dollar an Australian makes, they owe back $2.08.
Yeah, exactly. Live frugally. You don't live frugally with the idea of, okay, I'm going to be cheap, I'm going to be a miser.
But Supreme,
that's not the idea.
But Supreme is not even that. Like, if remember the image of the house I showed?
Yeah.
That's a frugal house.
Yeah.
That's a piece of crap. I'm sorry. I'm like, I mean, if you feel offended, good for you. Yeah. But it doesn't mean you're right. So, but anyways, that's a piece of crap. I can show you the same that square footage in Atlanta, in a good area of Atlanta, that was built around, let's say, after World War II, for about $55,000.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I mean. It's you got to think about, okay, if you can't afford to live here and get ahead and do the things that you want to do, if you're just going to work so that you can buy food and effectively, what's the difference at that point? Buying a house for $1.6 million or paying rent? You're still throwing your money away because that house is not going to be $5 million.
How about a movie tonight, huh?
Wow, what's that aftershave you're wearing?
You high karate aftershave is so powerful, it drives women right out of their minds. That's why we have to put instructions on self-defense in every package. High karate, the brisk splash-on aftershave that smooths and soothes and cools. High karate, aftershave, cologne, and gift sets. High karate, be careful how you use it.
They're going to be renegotiating. This next election, you're going to start seeing, guys, in the States, they're going to start renegotiating the rules as they go along. And then Hill Dog's feeling pressured to get in. All these people are pressuring her to run. I still haven't met a single human being alive today that voted for her in the last election. I still haven't met a single person, a single American that actually voted for her. I haven't met nobody. And remember, we're talking about mass exoduses, people mass exodusing their cities because they can't afford to live. So they're housing migrants because they can't afford to live in their own cities they were born and raised in. And guess what? They're moving to affordable areas, whether it's 2, 3, 4, even 5 hours away from the major capitals and cities, because they can no longer afford to live in major cities anymore. So you're seeing a huge exodus of middle-class working poor, the people that basically contribute to the infrastructure, the people that basically built these Commonwealth countries are basically moving to greener pastures. But now it looks like a sector. We're losing our doctors. We're losing our nurses. We're not having enough doctors and nursing going through college because it's too expensive. And a lot of the potentials that could be doctors and surgeons and stuff and transplanters, plastic surgeons, whatever you call them, basically are thinking twice about getting into debt now because they're seeing what's happening to the generation ahead of them, how they got screwed over by these jobs that were supposed to be available for them that weren't just there. So, what's going on here, guys, is actually a big one. Energy exodus. Oil and gas workers look for more opportunity in Texas. Well, you guys know that all my exes live in Texas, right?
Boy, am I hungry. What kind of soup is that?
Make way for the great American soup.
Can you give me that again?
Faster rich, they pass the word to 42nd Street. Make way for the great American soup. Hey, mister, have you tried the soup that's good enough to eat? Shake hands with the great American soup. Feel that rhythm, guide your feet on the soupy road to romance. Let's face the chicken gumbo and dance. Who's got it noodles up in life from Broadway to the Loop? It's the great. I said the great. It's the great, great, great American soup.
Emily, why do you always have to make such a big production out of everything?
Vast amounts of money laundering, the vast amounts of basically an economic takeover that's here to take us over. And Australia is being hit the hardest, hit the hardest. It's almost really hard to gauge whether Australia or Canada is worse off right now. But if you're watching this in the United States, you better pay real close attention and stop watching this bullcrap impeachment crap that's going on and actually start looking at what's happening in the Commonwealth. Now, Australia right now is running their 5G up in Darwin and their camera systems, and they want to start running a social credit score just like the communist Chinese are. Now, here it is. It started with countries competing over wealthy investors. They don't care if they're communists, they don't care whatever the deal is. Just competing. So Canada wants more Chinese workers, students, and tourists, immigration minister says. A majority of Canadians are asleep at the wheel, but when you get a memo saying visas have been increasing to China for $500,000 a year, opening more visa offices could help Canada compete for Chinese workers, students, and lucrative tourist business. Don't get me wrong, I have no problem against Chinese people. It's the communist Chinese. And there's a lot of Vancouver Canadian patriots that are from Hong Kong that tell me, Mike, you are 100%. I'm on your team, Mike. Like we are with you on this, Mike. We understand what's going on here because we left. And a lot of mainland Chinese tell me the same thing. Mike, you keep doing what you're doing. Don't worry about it. You know, it's all a big game. And exposing and discussing and having conversation is the way to kind of create awareness. And I think if awareness is there, it's important. Then it starts hinging into things like this. No Canadian hires for 4 years at Chinese-owned mine. So in BC here in the province I am, about 1,000 miles north of me, there's a very big, one of our biggest mines we sold out to China. But Australia has it even a lot worse off, okay? They sold out a lot of their iron ore, a lot of the lithium-ion mines out in Perth. They sold out a majority of their country. Surge in a number of Canadians who can't pay down their debts has economists worried and scratching their heads. What is going on? Well, there's a lot going on, and a lot of people are house broke or house poor. What do you mean, Mike? They own houses. Well, no, yeah, they own their homes, but everything they've made or everything they've saved or anything that happens or anything that's involves their home and financially. Whether they're borrowing from their home with their equity or they just don't have any money after they pay their bills, so they're house broke. They've overstretched themselves, they overreached, they've over-leveraged, so they are out of money to pay down credit cards, auto loans, and other important things, and most importantly, buy food. And how did the majority of these people buy food? Well, they borrowed on credit, saying, oh, I'm collecting points. That's the biggest lie I've ever heard in my life. A surge in the number of people who can't play their debts is raising eyebrows. It's not pay. It says right here, a surge in number of people who can't play their debts is raising eyebrows in Canada. I think they mean pay, but some of 11,935 consumers filed an insolvency in September, according to the Office of Superintendent of Bankruptcy, a 19% increase from a year earlier and the biggest annual gain since 2009. So far in 2019, there have been 102,023 consumer insolvencies. That's in 2019.
We always go the distance, right up to the wall. Good friends you can count on, all for one and one for all. Nothing short of the best will ever stand the test. There's nothing halfway about it, that's always been our call. X says it all. X says it all. X says it all.
Woo! Yeah. All right. So we got quite a bit today on the show to cover. Escape Expensive Toronto. Now, this one was based off of right here. Very strong case for moving the hell out of Toronto. Single-family home sales rise 283% from last year in Toronto. Goodbye, Toronto. Hello, Winnipeg. Canada's young are giving up their big dreams. So this basically, millennials leaving Toronto, Vancouver Statistics Canada data shows. Now, what's happening is there's a mass exodus out of these cities because people aren't making the money they need to live a satisfactory life. I'm not talking about amazing. I'm not talking about better. I'm talking about C, satisfactory, and D is like average, like below average. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's hear this. There's no indoor toilet. It's a semi with only an outdoor toilet. So there's no indoor toilet. And needing big repairs set for huge buyer interest. So down, let's look at today's article. Well, that's yesterday's article from Australia.
Watch this, guys.
So
Watch this.
This is so good. Here it is, guys. In black and white right there. Articles by Matt Bell for the Inner West Courier. Here it is, guys. So that piece right here, this little piece right here, it's not the one to the left, that's another house, and the one to the right is another house. It's just a room. That house right there, $1.3 million in Australia. Such a good opportunity here. I could feel it in me. You know when you get that feeling and you start getting this rosacea in your face. Look at that. Oh my God. Okay, let's look. Let's calm ourselves down here. China has an answer to its housing crisis. It's called rent. Oh, I'm off cue here. Yes, it's called rent, people. China now has an answer to the housing crisis. It's called rent. After 170 episodes doing the show, I'm really happy to say that China now has an answer to its housing crisis. It's called rent. I don't know how many millions of empty homes they have in China, and they just, it's phenomenal. I mean, like, it's the amount of, these are all ghost cities. They're all empty. That's why there's 2 cars on the road. Like, if you had that much infrastructure, you wouldn't even be able to cross this street at 3 a.m. with the amount of vehicles that would be occupying this area here. And the buildings keep going down, at least about 25 kilometers down in the horizon. There's more buildings like this, just piling up.
You're the backbone of the country, cities, towns, and fields. You're the men who work, the ones who build, strength that never yields. Says it. There's nothing halfway about it. That's always been your call. It says it all.
We don't want wars, guys. Wars are like...
Loser.
Yeah. That's exactly what a war is. Like, what's his face there? James Earl Jones would say.
I'm King Jaffe Joffer, ruler of Zamunda.
That's what he would say. And I'm not so... Anyways, advertisement, no one cares. These are the most and least generous countries in the world. Okay, I got to open this, guys. Let's see what the most generous country in the world. Okay. Donate to charities. Oh, God. Okay, so Myanmar means my ocean, is first. UK is second. Malta is third. Thailand, Netherlands, Indonesia, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. And then countries where people are least likely to donate to charity. Number 1, we have China. And then Madagascar, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Armenia, the state of Palestine, Niger, Greece, Yemen, and Georgia.
Yeah, and this is next door to Argentina, and it's basically experiencing the same economic collapse as this, autumn season. Their spring is unfolding. Where there's a complete run on Argentina right now as far as capital flight. And Chile is kind of quickly entering the same process when no one was talking about this the whole year. No one could fathom that Chileans are also going to lose a lot of money in their pensions. And that's mainly what these protests are about. It's not just about transportation.
Well, let me interject there. It actually ties in with tonight's show. They're having a runoff on their food markets there, and food stands and food distribution is on the verge of breaking down there.
Now, which country is this?
In Chile.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, they're having huge issues getting food into certain areas, and yeah, it's not looking good.
And this is what we find ourselves kind of in this whole hemisphere is the bull market in stocks. Although in Chile it's been rolled over and decreasing for a year, the value of stocks. We're going to celebrate bull markets until things collapse from the bottom up.
Mm-hmm. Civil unrest in Chile. Civil unrest has hit the streets of Chile. Civil unrest has hit the streets of Hong Kong. You just saw it live with Evan. And then I know this is happening all over parts of Argentina. I know this is happening in small pockets of Brazil. And small pockets of Brazil, mainly along the coast there. But I don't know. Like, this is. I think this needs to happen. I think there needs to be some sort of correction, and people make the people. Wow, that guy just threw an office chair.
Yeah, I mean, this is wild. I'm surprised about this.
Chair.
I spent like 2 years living in Santiago, and they're unfolding in other parts of Chile too, other important cities, and some looting going on. They empty out a whole Walmart.
Wow. So I'm gonna change the mic of the night topic here to not food prices skyrocketing, but world civil unrest.
Yeah, Lebanon's another one.
All right, I just saved it as world civil unrest because the world is entering a massive level of civil unrest. And I knew Chile was okay on the books, but I knew that their pensions were being squabbled, and I knew that they had one of their biggest unions there fell apart like 4 years ago. And then a lot of the newer workers that were pensioners weren't getting pensions anymore when they started, and they cut back on they've cut back on their production about 40% in the last 2.5 years.
Yes, and the mining. Go ahead.
Do you think that is because they're trying to be more green? Because that's a bunch of garbage.
Oh, who's trying to be green?
Chile. Oh, let's become green all of a sudden. Even though we bring down our production 10%, we're screwed.
Oh,
Canada's doing it. Oh, let's be more green and ship out all our jobs and starve our own people. I mean, is Chile taking that approach too?
Chile suffers from the commodities curse. I mean, they produce copper, a lot of mined goods, and then how to distribute the tax revenue from that is a constant debate.
Mm-hmm.
And now, lo and behold, I mean, what's happening is the price of copper decreases to a level where the country's basically not making money getting it out. So the mining has, the layoffs. They're not really operating at any capacity. And then the people aren't getting those jobs, as well as the state is not getting the revenue. So there has to be some austerity type things.
Wow, lots of adults. I'm seeing like people like in their 30s and 40s. A lot of white hair here riding.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and then so Chile's got
smokes, the whole city's under turmoil. Oh my God!
And this looks like Argentina in 2001, and I'm telling you, in the past few weeks, no one was talking about a Chilean crisis. I mean,